What do you call Raja when he's merciless? Bedardi Raja. What do you call Raja when he is a president? You call him Raja Choudhury. If you Google him, you will find someone who beats up his wife, who breaks up parties, but he has assured us that is not him. We take your word, sir. The first speaker in the agency view section is Raja Choudhury, President C3 Cube. A director and international award winner, Choudhury has written the fate of numerous brands through his marketing strategies. He has also been involved in producing a television series in the United States called The Art and Science of Happiness with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Speaking on the brave new world of social media activism, let's welcome artist, scientist, spiritualist and technologist Raja Choudhury. His Twitter handle is Raja Quest, so if you are live tweeting, do tag him in all the tweets.
Alright, good morning. Again, I'm Raja Choudhury, and yes, I don't beat my wife. But there is a chap in Google called Raja Choudhury who does. So, I live in two worlds. I am, on one part, I am a digital media and which covers everything, including social media consultant. And I help brands like Coca-Cola and OurWeddingDay.com and others engage, meaning kiosks and social media and websites and digital video and all kinds of ways. And I help them to develop such strategies and then execute them for them as well. On the other side of my life, I'm a filmmaker and I produce documentaries that have impact. So I produce documentaries on consciousness, on happiness, on spirituality, on ethnic minorities and things like that in the US and here now. And I'm going to talk more about that side of my life today than I am about what I do for Coke. Okay. All right. But it all relates to the same thing, which we call cause marketing in a way. And so I'm going to talk about that today. Let me just start this up here. Okay. So, I mean, everybody here is a marketer, so I'm going to just quickly go over this, which is that any technology that can turn communications into an interactive conversation, right? That's social media, right? We all understand that. And these are the classic definitions. And it's also called user-generated content, which means that I put out a story, and hundreds of you respond and talk about it and share it and spread it out there, and before I know it, you know, I'm in jail. but because I put out a story about something that's controversial maybe. But that's the potential of social media, is this idea of user-generating content around a subject or a cause or an idea. And the third part is this idea of conversation. And one of the big things you're hearing about more and more now in the search marketing and online marketing communities is the idea of reputation management and conversation mining, which is, you know, software out there that tracks everything you say. Now Google is doing it also. Everybody wants to do it, which is this whole idea of what are people saying about this issue or this brand, and how can we talk to them wherever they speak about it, and things like that. You know, this idea of conversation is critical to social media. And it's about life. It's about my life. It's about media. It's about brands and causes. So, but today I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about cause. And what is a cause? I mean, the definition of a cause is any person or issue that gives rise to an action or phenomena or reaction. So, I mean, really speaking, even my desire to market a product is a cause for me at the time I'm marketing it. But most people think of causes as issues or people. So, you know, in India, in the last year, we've seen a massive social media revolution around cause. So whether it's Anna Hazare or Tata Tea or whatever you're looking at, you know, this whole idea of cause marketing is becoming very big. It means that, you know, you could talk about freedom of speech. One of the biggest independent movies that raised money on Facebook was an Indian film on lesbian issues called I Am, you know, last year. So anything can be a cause. It can be politics and governance. It can be education. In India in particular, it's about development issues and governance and corruption and who we are. But in America, which is a much more mature audience, and I'll come to that in a second, it's more about, you know, what affects people's lives. So if we look at the other side of cause, the other side of cause is what we call activism, right? And activism is very much about intentional efforts to promote or affect, you know, anything that can cause a social, political, economic, or change. So a good film can do that. You know, like you produce like Tare Zameen Par or, you know, Three Idiots can affect education, can affect how you think about life, can affect, a documentary can do that. So films are very powerful tools today, especially, you know, with YouTube and Vimeo and all emerging so as social media platforms. Film is becoming very important to, you know, everybody's having to produce videos and short films or information graphic films that actually tell stories. So film is becoming a major part of the digital media revolution. And any type of content goes with that. TV, book, website, video, blogs, you know, content is very much about activism. So you put an article out there, it gets spread in the marketplace, and before you know it, you know, you've got a revolution on your hand. The other issue is protest, marches, direct action. Direct action could be Anna Hazare's fasting. That is activism. That I'm going to fast until somebody does something about it. You know, that's activism. Media awareness campaigns, social media campaigns, these are all versions of activism. Now, the biggest thing that happened last year was that social media activism actually brought down a government. You know, in Egypt, a manager at Google called Wael Ghonim actually posted on Facebook that about the issues of governance and issues of the whole government. And it began a whole viral thing that became the way people could come to events, find out about events in Tahrir Square and come there. And it actually did cause, you know, a major part of the revolution that happened in Egypt this year. But not only in Egypt, I mean, the numbers in India were incredible also. So quickly, I just want to show you some graphics. But these come from Craig, who is the Craigslist founder. These are numbers that show that in America, which is, you know, where we always look to see where the first adapters are, we're seeing that 92% of organizations, non-profits, cause-driven organizations are now using social media. So that means that you go to any website of a major organization in America, you know, Red Cross, public television, whatever, you're going to see a Facebook icon 92% of the time. You're going to see a Twitter icon 77% of the time. I think it's 70% of the time. You're going to see YouTube. You're going to see Flickr. You're going to see, you know, RSS feeds. So all of that means that at some level, all these organizations are actually putting out social media messages and want to share and have a dialogue and have you have a dialogue with them. So that means that you can actually then go to Facebook and talk to them in some way. If you also go further, you know, in America, which is very different from India, you're seeing that public television, medical issues like insurance, art and culture, you know, cures for cancer, these get the highest rankings in Facebook and are talked about the most as well. So it's a different, I guess you would say in governance terms, it's a more advanced culture. So there's less issues of governance and corruption that they're dealing with and more about the fundamentals of life. But in India, we're having other issues, and I'll come to that in a second. If you look at America and who's talking, we're seeing that the #1 issue is animals on social media and cause-driven stuff, right? You're then seeing environmental issues, disasters, children, culture, you know, women issues, health issues, and then military and veteran issues. Now, that is what people are posting. And then the same thing on tweets as well. You're seeing very similar trends, right? So in America, it's very different. And this shows you the rankings of who is talking the most. Animal, obviously, is #1, what people are talking about. So, you know, it's a totally different culture from India. And what I want to do is, before I finish off the American story, I want to talk about a company that we admire a lot called Participant Media. And I don't know, have any of you heard of Participant Media? Anybody? Yes? Participant Media is the company that became famous for launching a film called An Inconvenient Truth, which was Al Gore's film on the environment. And that became one of the biggest global phenomena of social and viral marketing and discussion. And And they also continuously produce controversial films that create awareness in the public. So they've done Syriana on oil, they've done Waiting for Superman on the American educational system, they've done Contagion on bacteria and diseases in the world and viral diseases. Any issue that's major, they've done either a feature film or a documentary film on. And what they've done is that they've also established a massive activism area on the internet, where they use web, they use a site called takepart.com, which you can see. Is there a pointer? No pointer. This thing?
Bottom button.
Bottom button. Let's see. Okay. No.
I saw the red in your hand.
I saw it too. Okay, there it is.
Okay.
There. So take part, actually, so for example, what they do with participant is that they will, their website is a general site, but they'll have individual sites for each of their projects. So Inconvenient Truth has its own site, has its own Facebook page, and then it has an activist portal at takepart.com, where you can actually go and learn how to be active. So you can use Meetup. Instead of using Meetup, they allow you to do meetups here. They allow you to organize events, gatherings around the subject. You can petition your congressman or your senator. You can do all kinds of things from these activation areas that they've created. So for every movie they do that throughout the campaign, and they've been doing this for over 6-7 years. And what they've had is that, for example, with the Inconvenient Truth, they've had 15 bills gone into Congress, that have actually more or less been passed, most of them on environmental issues. Obama has set up a new office on climate change as a result of the film. So it's been a tremendous success, and they're doing it now for disease, they're doing it now for anything from governance to subjects of that kind, oil, and so on. So this gives you a very good idea of how an evolved ecosystem works when causes use web and social media. This gives you a very good example. So I'm going to come to that in a second. Now India, on the other hand, all of you are Indian marketers, so I'm not going to teach you about the numbers. But the numbers as of December 2011 were approximately 121 million. And it's said to be larger than the American market in terms of internet usage by 2015. Now that's the current trend. Now that doesn't mean that we're active, engaged internet users. That number is much smaller, and that can be reflected in our number of Facebook users, which is about 34 million, going to about 50 million. And anyways, ratings between 34 and 50 they estimate somewhere. And the biggest growth area is smartphones in India, where we're going to be at 200 million plus. That means that people are able to share messages very quickly. People are able to tweet, to Facebook post, to share a photograph, to take a video quickly of an event and distribute it very quickly. So in a way, each person if they have conduits for their causes, can actually become a very instant, citizen journalist and be out there and be social broadcasting. So causes can benefit tremendously from this mobile revolution as well.